Hi there, and welcome to our video on creating and sticking to a budget. Budgeting is an essential tool for managing your finances and achieving your financial goals. Whether you're saving for a down payment on a house, paying off debt, or just trying to make your money go further, a budget can help you get there. In this video, we'll cover the basics of budgeting, from creating a budget to tracking expenses and staying motivated to stick to it. First, we'll talk about how to create a budget by assessing your income and expenses, prioritizing expenses and setting financial goals, deciding on a budget format, and allocating funds to different categories. Next, we'll discuss the importance of tracking your expenses, different methods for doing so, and tips for categorizing expenses accurately. Then, we'll cover how to stay motivated to stick to your budget by setting achievable goals, identifying and addressing potential obstacles and temptations, and finding accountability partners or other ways to stay on track. After that, we'll discuss how to adjust your budget as needed, and how to avoid common budgeting mistakes. Finally, we'll wrap up with some final thoughts and recommendations for creating and sticking to a budget. 1. Creating a budget. Assessing income and expenses. The first step in creating a budget is to assess your income and expenses. Start by adding up all of your sources of income, including your salary, any bonuses, and any other sources of income you may have. Next, list all of your monthly expenses, including rent or mortgage, utilities, food, transportation, and any other regular expenses. Be sure to include annual or regular expenses, such as car registration or insurance, that may not occur every month. B. Prioritizing expenses and setting financial goals. Once you have a clear understanding of your income and expenses, you can start to prioritize your expenses and set financial goals. Look at your expenses and identify any that are essential, such as housing and food, and any that are discretionary, such as entertainment or dining out. Determine how much you need to allocate to each category based on your income and financial goals. Setting specific financial goals, such as paying off debt or saving for a down payment on a house, can help you stay motivated and focused on your budget. C. Deciding on a budget format, e.g. spreadsheet, app, paper. There are many different ways to create a budget, and the best one for you will depend on your preferences and needs. You may choose to use a spreadsheet, an app, or pen and paper to create your budget. Choose a format that works for you and makes it easy for you to track your income and expenses. D. Allocating funds to different categories and creating a spending plan. Once you have a budget format in mind, it's time to allocate funds to different categories and create a spending plan. Start by dividing your expenses into categories, such as housing, utilities, food, transportation, and entertainment. Determine how much you need to allocate to each category based on your income and financial goals. Then, create a spending plan that outlines how much you will spend in each category each month. Tracking expenses. Importance of tracking expenses. Tracking your expenses is essential for staying on top of your budget and achieving your financial goals. By tracking your expenses, you can see where your money is going and identify areas where you may be overspending or where you can cut back. B. Different methods for tracking expenses, e.g. manual, automated. There are various methods for tracking expenses, such as manual and automated. Manual methods include writing down every expense in a notebook or spreadsheet, while automated methods involve using apps or online tools to track expenses automatically. C. Tips for categorizing expenses accurately. To make sure your tracking is effective, it's important to categorize your expenses accurately. You can create categories such as housing, food, transportation, entertainment, etc. If you're not sure how to categorize an expense, try to think about why you made that purchase and what category it fits best under. D. Tools and resources for tracking expenses effectively, e.g. budgeting apps, receipt scanners. There are many tools and resources available to help you track expenses effectively. Some examples include budgeting apps like Mint, Pocket Guard, and YNAB, which can automatically categorize your expenses and provide insights into your spending habits. You can also use receipt scanners like Shoeboxed or Expensify to track business expenses and store receipts electronically. 3. Staying motivated to stick to your budget. Importance of staying motivated to stick to a budget. Sticking to a budget can be challenging, but it's essential to achieving your financial goals. Staying motivated can help you maintain your commitment and avoid overspending. B. Setting achievable goals and celebrating milestones. One way to stay motivated is by setting achievable goals and celebrating milestones. For example, if your goal is to pay off credit card debt, you could set a goal to pay off a certain amount each month and celebrate each time you hit that goal. C. Identifying and addressing potential obstacles and temptations. It's important to identify potential obstacles and temptations that could derail your budget and come up with a plan to address them. For example, if you tend to overspend on shopping, you could avoid going to the mall or set a budget for your shopping trips. D. Tips for staying motivated, such as finding an accountability partner or visualizing the benefits of sticking to the budget. Other tips for staying motivated include finding an accountability partner who can provide support and encouragement, or visualizing the benefits of sticking to your budget, such as paying off debt or saving for a dream vacation. 4. Adjusting your budget. A. Importance of adjusting your budget as needed. Your budget is not set in stone, and you may need to make adjustments from time to time based on changes in your income or expenses. It's important to be flexible and make changes as needed to ensure your budget remains effective. B. How to know when to adjust your budget. You should consider adjusting your budget if you experience a significant change in income or expenses, such as a pay cut, unexpected medical expenses, or a rent increase. C. Tips for making adjustments effectively, such as reassessing priorities and finding areas to cut back to make adjustments effectively. Reassess your priorities and determine which expenses are essential and which ones can be cut back. Look for areas where you can reduce expenses, such as eating out less or canceling subscriptions you no longer use. 5. Common budgeting mistakes to avoid. A. Common budgeting mistakes, e.g., not accounting for regular expenses, underestimating expenses. Some common budgeting mistakes include not accounting for irregular expenses, underestimating expenses, or not having an emergency fund. B. How to avoid these mistakes. To avoid these mistakes, it's important to track your spending carefully, plan for irregular expenses, and be realistic about your expenses. You may also want to consider using a budgeting app or working with a financial advisor to help you stay on track. C. Real-life examples of budgeting mistakes and how they can be corrected. Real-life examples of budgeting mistakes may include overspending on dining out or entertainment, failing to budget for car repairs or medical expenses, and underestimating the cost of housing. These mistakes can be corrected by adjusting your spending plan and reassessing your priorities. Conclusion. A. Recap of key points. To sum up, creating and sticking to a budget is a crucial step towards financial stability and achieving your financial goals. To create a budget, you should assess your income and expenses, prioritize your expenses, decide on a budget format, and allocate funds to different categories. To track your expenses, it is essential to use accurate methods, categorize your expenses correctly, and use tools and resources such as budgeting apps or receipt scanners. Staying motivated to stick to your budget is crucial and can be achieved by setting achievable goals, addressing potential obstacles, and finding accountability partners. Adjusting your budget as needed is also essential, and it is necessary to know when to make adjustments and how to do so effectively. Finally, it is essential to avoid common budgeting mistakes and to have a plan in place to correct them if they do occur. B. Final thoughts and recommendations for creating and sticking to a budget. Creating and sticking to a budget may seem daunting at first, but it is a worthwhile endeavor that will pay off in the long run. It is important to remember that creating and sticking to a budget is a process that takes time, patience, and dedication. It is essential to stay motivated and celebrate milestones along the way. Additionally, it is important to be realistic and flexible with your budget, as unexpected expenses or changes in income may require adjustments. Finally, remember that budgeting is a personal journey, and what works for one person may not work for another. Experiment with different methods and find what works best for you. We hope this video has been helpful in providing tips and strategies for creating and sticking to a budget. If you have any additional tips or suggestions, please share them in the comments below. Remember, financial stability and achieving your financial goals are within reach if you take the time to create and stick to a budget. Thank you for watching this video on creating and sticking to a budget.